Welcome to Quiero, Dinero, a personal finance podcast for the modern Latina. This ain't your abuelita's financial advice. I'm your host, Janice Torres Rodriguez, and I'm here to help you tackle grown woman business when it comes to all things dinero. We're going to talk about how to make it, keep it, and grow it. On that note, vámonos. Hola, mi gente. Welcome back to another episode of Yo Quiero Dinero, the podcast. This is your host, Janice, and today I'm surprising you with another bonus episode. So we recently just hit 4,000 followers on Instagram, and so in honor of that, I'm going to be releasing 4 bonus episodes on Thursdays for the next 4 weeks. So I'm super excited. I hope you guys will be loving the fact that you get 2 episodes a week for the next 4 weeks. I'm really excited about it, and we just have so many amazing guests lined up for you that I decided, you know what? We need to have more episodes because there's just so many amazing people that you need to know about. And we're going to be talking to one of those amazing people in today's episode. So Valery Vargas is a 28-year-old Latina, a first-generation immigrant, a board game enthusiast, a bookworm, and an entrepreneur. She graduated from Rutgers University in New Jersey with a bachelor's in psychology, and she's the owner and creator of the Dainty Dollar, a money coaching service that empowers women and millennials to pay off thousands in debt, organize their finances, and build wealth to fearlessly pursue their dreams. Valery is a DACA recipient and shares her experience of being an immigrant trying to manifest the American dream. You can follow Valery on Instagram at the Dainty Dollar and check out her blog and money coaching service website at daintydollar.com. Let's get into this convo with Valery of the Dainty Dollar. You take care of your body by exercising, eating right, and getting enough sleep. But are you doing the same for your mind? On this podcast, we're always talking about mindset and mental health as the foundation for financial wellness. So we're super proud to partner with BetterHelp to get you access to professional, affordable therapy right at your fingertips. Even with health insurance coverage, traditional therapy costs over $100 per session, and that's if you can even get an appointment. Online counseling is an effective, convenient, and affordable way to get help with many issues. You can chat with your therapist at your convenience in whatever mode you're most comfortable with. Just take a short quiz and get personally matched with one of BetterHelp's professional, licensed, and experienced counselors and get the support and guidance you need to start making a change. As a reminder, online therapy is not suitable for someone who's suffering from a severe mental health condition that makes them a danger to themselves or others. Download the BetterHelp app today and get started with 10% off exclusively for Yo Quiero Dinero podcast listeners. Just use the discount code DINERO, that's DINERO, and you can get 10% off your first month. You can also go to betterhelp.com/dinero for the same offer. BetterHelp. Affordable, private, online counseling, anytime, anywhere. Valery, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Janice.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk to you because, well, for several reasons. First, you're a Latina that's doing amazing things in personal finance. And we have a lot in common because we run side hustles while working full time. And I'm sure you don't sleep because I don't. So we're going to get into how you balance that, your 9 to 5 with the personal stuff that you're working on. And also you're paying off debt. You paid off over $33,000 in 18 months, and we're going to get into all of that. So, I'm just super excited for this conversation.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
All right. So let's get into first, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay. So my name is Valery. I'm a 20-year-old Latina. I'm a first-generation immigrant, a board game enthusiast, bookworm, and an entrepreneur. I graduated from Rutgers University with my bachelor's in psychology, and now I'm a money coach that empowers women and millennials to pay off thousands in debt, organize their finances, to build wealth, and fearlessly pursue their dreams.
Amazing. Okay, so what was your relationship like with money growing up? How did you learn about it? What did you see in your household? What are some do's and don'ts that you learned about money growing up?
Okay, so growing up, when I was very small and when I was very young, my dad used to make, very good money. So what I learned when I was growing up is that whatever, I wanted, we can have. And that honestly changed in like a year when we were living in our home countries, and we moved to the United States. We first went to go live in California, which is a very, high cost of living area. So we went from, treat yourself mentality to, scarcity mode and survival mode. There, we're living paycheck to paycheck. So I went from, thinking one way, like money's easy, we can buy whatever we want, to thinking there's never enough. Like sometimes we didn't even have enough for the essentials. And it changed a little bit more once my parents got divorced, and it really turned into like just survival mode.
Yeah. So you were actually born in Peru and then you came to the US?
So both of my parents are Peruvian, and my mom was actually backpacking in Guatemala, and my dad he plays soccer professionally, so he was in Guatemala, and I was born there. But my
Okay.
entire family is Peruvian.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So you have paid off a substantial amount of debt, but I'm curious, like, what your initial debt situation looked like before you decided, like, I don't want to live like this anymore. And how did you actually rack up that debt?
So a lot of my debt was from my school. So originally, I felt like I was spending a lot of money, but then when I really look back and like in retrospect, I realized that a lot of my money was going, to helping out in the household. So I was helping out, to pay the rent, some utilities. I was paying for my school, so I had what was it, like a monthly payment plan that I had to pay towards my tuition, and I
Mm-hmm.
had some debt in the beginning, right? So from 2014 till 2020, the total debt that I racked up was about $85,000, but that includes my husband's debt as well.
Okay.
And in the very beginning, I owed about 20,000 to school, and then a few years after that, when I got my car, 30,000 was added on there. That was a huge mistake that I'll touch on a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
The house renovation, because we're house hacking, so we bought a multifamily home and we racked up a little bit more debt. There was some credit card debt that I had in the very beginning, just from, I had to pay so much in the household that whatever was, miscellaneous spending or for my books had to go on credit cards. And there's also immigration fees, right? So a lot of that went on credit cards. And then once we joined finances, my husband's debt came along with me. So in the very beginning, I wasn't really spending, going crazy spending. I was more trying to survive with like very little income, and I had a lot of money going out.
Hmm. What does immigration fees look like? Because I'm somebody
Girl,
that was born here, so I
oh
don't
my,
know. And we're Puerto Rican, so we don't have to deal with that, which I think is a huge blessing. But it like makes me realize like getting into this country is not for it's not cheap.
no, it's definitely not. So I'm currently going through two different processes. One is being a DACA recipient. So DACA stands for Deferred Actions Against Childhood Arrivals.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if you were brought here illegally by your parents when you were underage, obviously you didn't know that you were breaking a law. So
Right.
at the time, I didn't know anything. So we were granted deferred action against deportation on a 2-year increment level, right? So every 2 years, I have to renew that status. And that also gave me a work permit. So I'm able to work legally. I have a social security number. I'm able to, open credit cards, get my license, legally work as a W-2 employee.
Mm.
So every 2 years, I have to pay $495. And
Oh
there's
my
like,
God.
yeah, every 2 years, you pay that, but there's hidden costs too, right? Because every 2 years, you have to have certain documents. So there's certain documents I have to get from Guatemala because I have no family there. I have to hire, basically, I have to give somebody a power of attorney and pay
Mm.
them to get updated documents for me because they need to be valid as of the last 6 months. And then I'm also, I've been married for a while, so I'm going through the process of getting my green card. And I've actually to date, I've probably paid about $11,000 in the last 2 years.
Oh
And
my
there's,
God.
yeah, it's attorney fees. There's so many little things that rack up. Um, in the next few months, I have to pay another $5,000 because the process is moving. So I want to make, that's to the lawyer. I just want to make sure, like during this time, especially, I do have some legal representation. And as well as, me renewing my DACA status. So I have to renew that in a few months. So that's another 495.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a
I
lot of
had
money.
no idea that it costs so much to just be in this fucking country.
Well, you don't have to go that route. You can pay everything yourself, but if something like it'll probably cost maybe like 5 grand if you were doing everything yourself. But I think at this point you really need an attorney, especially because there's, deportations. You can
Yeah.
get stopped for anything and literally get deported.
Oh my God. So not
Yeah.
only are you like killing it on a personal level. Like you have this career, but you're also dealing with the shitty ass immigration system of this country,
Yeah,
which is just mind boggling to me. So kudos to you, girlfriend,
thank
because
you.
that sounds like a very stressful ass situation that I think a lot of us cannot relate to. And it's important to just highlight that. So wow.
It truly has been stressful, but I've tried to like put together all the tools to make it as like as least stressful as possible.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious, what actually motivated you to say, I need to start tackling this debt because this is just not working for me anymore?
So before I even got into debt, one of the things that really got me, I mean, I already had some debt because of school, right? But what really
Mm-hmm.
got me fired up is I was reading a little bit. I used to go to Barnes and Noble, like a few times a month, and I would be in like different sections, but then I specifically started going to like the personal finance business section.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the book. The first one I read was Suze Orman's Young, Broke and Fabulous. And she talks about, Roth IRAs. She like, it's an introduction book to like a lot of financial things. And one
Mm-hmm.
of them was compound interest. So I went online, I went to a calculator and I plugged in all these numbers and it blew my mind. I did not know that. I think at the time, I think I was 23 years old when I first did it. I'm 28 years old now. And I plugged in the numbers. I think it was 30 years. If I don't remember how much I put that I was contributing at that time. And it turned out that by, when I was 65, I would have a million, I think $77 or
Mm-hmm.
something like that if I contributed for 30 years with like an average annual return of like 6 to 8%. And all I had to contribute was about $270,000. And I was like, oh my God, not only like can money work for me, but like I don't have to exchange my time for money anymore. So that's when
Mm,
the new idea spawned, right? I
yeah.
knew what compound interest was. So I said I knew I had to figure out what investments can work for me. And I knew that I didn't have to like exchange my time anymore because I sat down, before this and I was like, if I save this much every month, I will have this much by the year. But I can never understand how people became millionaires or really like saved up so much money because I just, I was thinking of simple interest and I was like, I had a Bank of America savings account earning 0.1 interest. I was like, how do people do it? I just didn't get it. And when I saw that, I understood and I knew there was a lot to learn.
Yeah. So are there any additional requirements for opening an investment account if you don't have a social security number?
When I tried opening an account at that time, I believe I opened one I think when I was like 19 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe I was able to open it with my TIN number. I don't
Okay.
know how that works now, but now that I
Yeah.
have a social security number, all my accounts have that number.
Okay. All right. So what like were your actual strategies for tackling this debt? What was your game plan? How much have you paid off and what strategies have you used?
So as of this year, me and my husband have paid off $76,000. And when,
Wow.
yeah, that's together, right? So that's a lot of work. And majority, so 38,000 of that has been paid off in the last 18 months. When I first started my own personal debt free journey, I first listed out all of my debts. I included the names of the debts, the interest, the monthly payments, the original amount, and the current amount because I wanted to see how far I came from, the original amount. And then I listed them out in order from smallest to largest amounts because I was going to be using the snowball method, which just focuses on, smallest to largest for the
Mm-hmm.
psychological wins. And that's really how I got started. And I did the same thing for him. So we were both doing our debt free journeys separately in the beginning.
And so how much time did it take you guys to pay off that $76,000?
Well, currently, as of today, we owe about $9,000. So we're not done yet, but we're
Mm-hmm.
scheduled to be debt free on August 28th of this year.
That's and when did you start your debt payoff journey?
So I started my journey back in 2006, 2017. I paid off all my student loan debt, which was to a person, not to an institution.
Oh,
And
how's that work?
so this is a funny story. So when I started going to school, this is before DACA, right? So I couldn't qualify for there was limited scholarships. I didn't qualify for FAFSA and I couldn't get any, I was dying to get a Sally Mae, like a student loan. I know people are dying to get rid of them. I was dying to get one. And I couldn't qualify for that. I tried to get a private loan too, didn't qualify. I didn't have a social security number. I tried getting a co-signer. It still didn't work. And as DACA, a year later, I did get DACA and I still wasn't able to qualify for this because when I first got my social security number, it was like I was just born. So I
Mm,
didn't have any credit.
mm,
Um, So Mr. Dainty Dollar, which is my husband, he saw how hard I was working. He's like, I've never seen anyone want to go to school as much as you do. And he's always been naturally good at saving money. Just, he never had a lot of debt. It was this car and like a little bit of credit card debt. And he had some money saved up. And he was like, I'm literally going to pay for your school and you can pay me back.
Oh my
So he
gosh.
gave me, in the beginning, I couldn't handle that payment plan in the beginning because I had no money to save. So he's like, I'm going to pay for your first year of school. And he literally just gave me the cash and I paid for the school. And honestly, I'm so blessed. And it's something I'm so thankful that he did because it really changed my life. And then he said, you're my investment strategy. I'm not investing in the stock market. I'm investing in you.
Oh
And
my
every time
God.
I talk about that story, it makes me a little bit emotional because till this day, he's my biggest cheerleader. Any crazy idea I have, he's like 100% for it.
How long have you guys been together?
I've known him since I was 15 years old, but we started dating when I was 20 years old. I'm 28 now. So we've been together for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got married in 2017, and yeah, we've been together for a long time.
That's amazing. You got yourself a keeper, girlfriend. Kudos
Thank
to
you.
you.
It's amazing. Thank you.
All right, so I'm curious because we all face setbacks during our debt payoff journey. So, what are some that you faced and how have you been able to manage them?
So at the time, so in 2018, we were living with some family, and we also started paying off debt that year, right? So in November 2018 is when we started. We both like aggressively were going to pay off our debts to get rid of everything because we really wanted to purchase a home. We had already started saving for a home.
Mm-hmm.
And November and December, we got bonuses and some overtime, so we really like hit our debt hard. I think we paid 7,000 in just 2 months, so we had a nice boost to our debt free journey. But in January, there was some toxic behavior that I really didn't want to be around. It wasn't severe at that time, but it was mentally affecting me. I just didn't feel good. So I said, you know what? I want to expedite this. We were looking at homes like I don't know how many homes. I think we looked at like over 50 homes in like a month, honestly. I was going crazy. I was looking all over.
Mm-hmm.
And my realtor finally found a home in around February. And we signed the contract, we did all that. So we paused our debt-free journey and we said, I think as of January we paused it and we went full blown to just saving for the house. So in the beginning of January, we had approximately 30K saved up. And
And is that January of this year or last year?
January of last year,
Okay.
2019. So we had
Okay.
about 30K and then we stopped everything. Like we literally didn't go out to eat. Like we were just eating whatever was in the pantry. We went like extreme. We put every dollar towards our house fund. And around the end of April, we had about $50,000 saved up just for our down payment. And we kind of just that wasn't necessarily a step back, but we pivoted. We didn't necessarily want to just focus on that because life happens and we had to make a change because I wasn't mentally feeling good and it wasn't going to be a healthy situation for our relationship or even ourselves to grow as people.
Yeah, I think that's super important advice. Like things happen and it's okay if your original plan has to change because at the end of the day, like your mental health and your everyday like living situation took precedence, right? And so you made the decisions that aligned with making sure that you are in a place that is going to not be stressful. So that's great
Absolutely.
advice. All right. So you have a goal now to finish paying off that debt. So it's about what, $9,000 that's left?
Yeah, it's what is the exact amount? Let me see. I just paid off some debt this morning.
Oh, awesome.
We have $9,353 left of debt.
So what's your goal for the payoff for that? Do you have a timeline on it?
So our goal is to pay everything off by August 28th. We
Hmm.
actually did modify our plan again in March because of COVID. We were a
Yeah.
little unsure about job security, so we started putting a little bit more towards our emergency fund. We probably could have paid this off this month. I wanted to pay it off before my 29th birthday. My golden birthday is June 29th,
Mm,
but we didn't get there. We focused more on security. So now we're back to paying it off August 28th.
awesome. Oh, that's going to be such a good celebration,
I
I'm
know,
sure.
I'm so excited.
So, for anybody who is ready to get in control of their finances but doesn't know where to start, what advice would you share with them?
I think the first thing I would tell them is to really focus and understand their why. Like, why do they even want to get control of their finances? And this may seem a little bit obvious, But it really is important to understand it, because when your personal finance journey gets hard, whether you're paying off debt or just saving money, it's going to get hard sometimes, like after, like when I was paying off debt, I almost like fell off the wagon a few times, because I was like, oh my God, it's going to take me forever to pay off all this money. I just want to like go out to eat and have fun again. I want to be normal again. And then I realized like my why, I wanted the financial freedom, and I don't want to depend on anybody. I don't want to have a cap on my own income. So that was my why. And understanding it is what really helped me stay on the course and really be focused to paying that off and just staying on the journey that is important to me.
That's super, super useful advice. When I decided I wanted to launch a podcast, I have to admit, I had no idea where I was going to start. That is until I found Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need all in one place for free, and you can use it right from your phone or computer. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. And get this, they'll even help you distribute your podcast so it can be heard everywhere, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Isn't that freaking awesome? I mean, what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Okay, so now on top of everything you're accomplishing and all of the goals that you are just killing right now, you also decided to start a side hustle as a money coach. So can you talk about A, what inspired you to do that, and B, how do you actually manage that with also having a 9 to 5? Because I think a lot of people want to start a side hustle, but they might be overwhelmed at the thought of just like having this additional work that they now have to do outside of their working hours.
So when I first started Dainty Dollar didn't exist, right? So I was already coaching my friends on money. And I think a lot of money coaches start this way because of you're working on your own personal finance journey. You become well versed with a lot of things, and people start seeing you change and like your habits change, how much you're paying off. People get inspired. So I was helping a lot of my friends, like, just list out their debts, creating budgets. I was helping my family, and I realized it was something I really liked. Every time I did it, it didn't feel like work. It felt, amazing to help them and see a change. I originally aspired to be a psychologist, but then after working in the real estate field for a few years, I've been working in that field for about almost 6 years now. I really saw more of like the financial end of it. So I merged those two together, and I really found a love for that. I didn't know money coaching was a thing. And before I even manifested the idea of becoming a money coach, I was the self-proclaimed side hustle queen, because before I had a work permit, I had to make it work. I was doing professionally organizing. I was, designing websites. I was doing whatever I could do to make money, as a 1099, whatever type of income. I was walking dogs. So when I saw the money coaching business and I realized like, hey, this is a thing and it's working out. Last year is when I created my LLC. And I really like made it a more professional business. I created the website. I started getting more clients. There was clients I already had, but I didn't know exactly what we were doing. So then I did start charging them. And I also did some business coaching as well. So I do have some clients from 2016 and 17 that have been with me ever since then. And we have a call every month. We do some business coaching. So I think my business in overall has evolved, and it really just started from me helping my family and friends.
That's awesome. I think that's yeah, you're right. That's how a lot of people kind of start their side hustle. They start learning about a topic, or they start doing something that people notice, and then they start monetizing it. So one thing that I want to ask you, because I get this question a lot as somebody who is married as well, building a business while also working full time can be kind of stressful on a relationship, right? Because you're like taking time away from being together and whatnot. So how do you balance your
100%.
ambitions from a business perspective with also making sure that you're nourishing your relationship?
Honestly, this is something I've been struggling with, but I know the habits are there. It's just been harder for me to implement them, because when I'm in the zone, I kind of forget everything and I just want to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've resorted to getting additional help. So this year, I hired a virtual assistant full time. But even before then, I knew that I had to really organize my time. So I, created different slots of time. So I told myself, from 9 to 5 is my job. And my job sometimes requires a little bit more time. So sometimes it was even from 9 to 7. And then afterwards, I tried to spend an hour just finishing up, any items that I needed throughout the day for my clients and, operational stuff for Dainty Dollar. And then afterwards, I would spend time with my husband, cook dinner, and I just sit on the couch and watch TV. And afterwards, after he went to bed, I would stay awake. So he likes to go to bed early. He goes to bed at like 10:30. I stay up to like 2 a.m. and I have
Oh
like
my
permanent
gosh.
like raccoon eyes for now because of what I'm doing. But I stay up later and I work on, content creation, finishing some client forms that I need, just reviewing stuff and planning my schedule ahead of time. So Sundays is key for me to plan out my whole week.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I have a VA, I can give, some content creation, some administrative tasks to them. So I do have more time. So now I'm really focused on just spending the 9 to 5 at work, like being as efficient as possible during that time. I meal prep with my husband, so I have a lot of food ready. So I don't have to spend, time cooking dinner. So I spend a lot of my time just hanging out with him.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I try to incorporate him in what I'm doing. So I share with him, like, this is what I'm working on. What do you think? Or, he helps me create some content. So we're spending time together, and I'm also working towards the goal of, improving my business and growing my business.
That's excellent advice. And I can totally
Thank
relate.
you.
I just hired a VA. I don't know what I was
That's
waiting for
awesome.
because trying to do all this stuff alone, it's wild.
You can't do it. I just recently read a book by Rachel Hollis. I just found out who she was last month, actually. I never heard of her before. I don't know why. And she says, like, people have, even celebrities have, these beautiful lives. And then she's like, I have, you could see my spreads and everything looks beautiful. She's like, but I have a nanny. I have a house
Right.
cleaner. I have like all these things. And I'm like, wow, like she's right. Like you cannot do it alone. It
It's
takes a
true.
village to grow a business as well.
It does, and you would have to be okay with outsourcing things that just are not bringing your value to your time. So, one of the
100%.
things that I do, like I started having my sister, she loves cleaning. So I'm like, I will pay you to clean my house because honestly, I don't have time to do this. And I'm helping her and she's helping me. And it's just like, you got to be okay with just letting certain things go. You
I
don't
love
have to
that.
do everything.
I thought that's definitely something on that list that I want to outsource. Everything that I don't like, I want to outsource.
Yes, I started outsourcing laundry. I started
What?
outsourcing cutting the grass. Like
Yeah,
it really
that's
does
awesome.
add value to your time.
Yeah, you want to be working on the things that create value and the things that you love doing.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm curious, do you have a money mantra?
I just got a money mantra this year actually. I didn't have one before, and
Hmm.
I have two top ones that I love. One is money is an unlimited resource that's always flowing my way.
Ooh,
And
love
the
that.
second one is I share my wealth because money flows to me easily, frequently, and abundantly.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh. And I think that just speaks to the power of building wealth, man. It's all about sharing. It's all about being able to impact things with your money, right? Whether it's your family, your community, the world, there is power in being able to generate wealth that you can then spread to other people.
Absolutely. Because, even like while I'm paying off my debt free journey now, like I knew building wealth was so important to me because I wanted to give. I want to be generous with my money. And even like while I'm still paying off the debt now, I realized that a lot of DACA recipients were suffering. A lot of them couldn't pay, because a lot of their parents can't work now because of COVID.
Mm.
I saw struggles like firsthand. So I said, I want to help out my community. And I started this, like, I don't know, it was like haphazard, like fund. I didn't know how to properly set it up, but I still got it to work. And I sponsored last week the first DACA recipient. So I paid for the renewal fees.
Oh,
And Judy
wow.
from Hear Me Finance actually matched that donation. So we're going to be able to sponsor another DACA recipient this week.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So how can people get involved if they also want to participate?
So I have a link on my website. You can find it under www.daintydollar.com/DACA renewal. And you can apply there if you're a DACA recipient, or you can also donate if you're interested in helping the cause.
That is amazing. See,
Thank
this is what I'm
you.
talking about. Using your money for the good of humanity. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely my number one goal right now.
I love it. Okay, so I'm curious, what can clients who come to you as a money coach expect? And what do you help them work through as a money coach?
So so when I work with clients, I work with them according to what their needs are and where they are in their journey. So I don't have like this template or like a plan that, a mold that fits everybody. I,
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to the client and really listen to what their needs are, what their goals are. And I help them implement a custom plan that fits them, their personality. Some people can do better with an avalanche method. I personally can't, but I've seen clients do that. So I really make sure it's a custom plan, whether, I helped recent graduates pay off their debt. So there's a client that I had. As soon as she graduated her undergrad, she came to me and she said, "I don't know what to do with my money. This is how much debt I have." She was very aggressive. She's like, "I want my debt gone." And we talked about different side hustles that she could do. And I gave her a time span of, it was about 8 months. She only had $13,000 of student loan debt. I know usually people have a few thousand more. And her plan was so aggressive, and she actually paid it off 3 months later, 3 months after she graduated.
Wow.
And she did all the side hustles. She was Ubering. She went crazy, this girl. And I was so impressed.
But you were able to give her the support that she needed, that she maybe wouldn't have been able to accomplish without having somebody to hold her accountable and give her an actionable plan, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's the point of a
100%.
money coach.
Yeah, so we did a 3 month coaching plan, and we got her budget in line. We talked a lot about side hustles. I gave her different ideas. She was doing a little bit of online, like VA. She became a VA. She was dog walking. What else did she do? She was doing Uber, Lyft. And then she was working a full-time job as well. So she was
Mm,
doing it all. And after that time, we did a 3 month coaching program, but her plan was for longer than 3 months. She just did at that time. And I was her accountability partner the whole time.
that's
She had a
awesome.
crazy idea, she would text me and I was like, "This is great, go for it." There were some ideas, she's like, "I think I should do this." And I said, "You can do that, but I think, you can generate money in other ways that you don't have to spend so much time." So I even like told her, like, you could probably do VA more and not do Uber as much, because, it's like you're taking your car, you're putting your car through like more mileage,
Mm-hmm.
whereas VA, you're not necessarily going anywhere. You're
Right.
right there and you can generate more money through that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love to think of a money coach as a personal trainer. They help you get control and get a plan together to accomplish what you actually want to accomplish with your money. So if you feel like you're not the type of person that can just be like directed by books and things that you read online and you can't really implement plans on your own and you want that additional support, a money coach is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and even like a personal trainer, a money coach, they help a lot with the mindset, right? Because money is not just math. Money is 100% emotions, in my personal
Mm,
opinion.
yes.
So breaking one of the things I do a lot too in the very beginning of my sessions with my clients, I first discuss mindset, and we really break through those like limiting beliefs and any negative thoughts that they had. We talk about their relationship with money as they were growing up, what their money habits are now, to really get that out of the way in the beginning, but then to really start, tackling and being more hands-on with their budget and money.
Yeah, that's so important. Do you mind sharing any kind of mindset work that you've personally done to be able to be in a place that has a healthy relationship with money?
So something I struggled with a lot was that money is a limited resource, because growing up when we were financially struggling, it always felt like, this is as much as we're going to have, or like making money is hard.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, when they first came here, they didn't speak English, they didn't have the right paperwork at that time. So they couldn't, get, decent jobs that paid, a living wage. So that mindset was kind of engraved in me, and I really struggled to kind of shake that off. And I read a lot of books. I implemented the mantras, and then I started challenging my beliefs. I was like, why do I feel like this? Like, why do I think
Mm,
it's a limited resource? And I really started asking myself. I began journaling. I journaled. I began a gratitude journal, because sometimes you focus on like just like what's happening now, but you don't see how far you come, right? So
yeah.
in my journal, I really dove into those thoughts, and I said, okay, why do I think money is a limited resource when, a few years ago I could even have a job? Now I've come this far. Now I've come this far. And it really showed me how much I progressed. And I'm like, money is not limited. And I'm like the living proof of it. Like, you can make more money. Like, money is an unlimited resource. And that's why I implemented that mantra. And I also started journaling in the future to kind of, manifest things. So I like writing like a few years from now, like, I write things like, my two children are so healthy and my husband is my best friend. We're having a great time. Dainty Dollar is making consistent, 20K months. And every day I just write, like a passage into the future. I write a gratitude journal, and then I talk about what I'm feeling at that time.
I love that. I don't think I've ever heard of like journaling into the future, but it makes so much sense, right? And it's like embracing the concept of manifestation where what you concentrate on becomes reality. So I love that.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna have
you're
to start
putting
doing
that
that
out
too.
there. I love that. You should totally implement that.
Yes. All right. So, Valerie, I have loved this conversation with you. And so, for anybody that wants to follow you, where can we find out more about you and follow your journey?
Thank you. You can find my journey, my personal journey, on my Instagram at the Dainty Dollar. And you can also visit my website, www.daintydollar.com. I have a lot of freebies on there. You can also find ways to work with me. And I have some blogs there that talk a little bit, that give you more details about my journey. And I also have a Twitter account at Dainty Dollar.
One more bonus question. So, what's the first thing you're going to do once you're debt free?
I don't know, honestly. Let me think.
It's like we can't do much right now. We can't. It's not like you could plan like some spectacular trip somewhere because you don't know, COVID.
The first thing I'm going to do when I become debt free is I'm going to max out my Roth IRA. Me and my
Yes.
husband.
That is a really, really good plan. And I am so excited to celebrate that milestone with you. I'll be looking out for you on Instagram because I know you'll be announcing once that has actually been accomplished. And I just thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me and creating this platform, honestly. And you're giving the Latinx community a voice. And I love listening to this podcast, the last year, mostly when I found this podcast. I love all the amazing stories, and I've been learning so much. So thank you for having me on. It's truly an honor.
I hope you guys loved this episode. I think Valerie is so inspiring. She is #goals for sure. I just love that she's normalizing the fact that if you want to build a side hustle while you're working full time, yeah, it's going to take some time, right? It's going to take some extra effort on your part. But I think when you're able to really start diversifying your income streams and just manifesting wealth through pursuing your passions, I don't think there's anything better than that. And so Valerie is clearly pursuing her passion of educating people and helping them with their finances. And she's also creating an income stream that I am certain will become her full-time gig because she's super passionate about what she's doing. And you can tell when she talks about how impactful the work she's doing and how much satisfaction she gets out of helping her clients. So if you're loving these episodes, if you're loving this podcast, as a reminder, please make sure to share, subscribe, rate, and review so that people like you can find us. Make sure you follow us on social media at Yo Quiero Dinero Podcast. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and you can definitely check out our blog too at yoquierodineropodcast.com. We have the show notes for every episode on the blog, as well as personal finance articles to help you get your money right. So until next time, guys, stay inspired, stay entrepreneurial, stay curious, and stay poderosa. On the Yo Quiero Dinero podcast and associated entities, all information provided is for general information purposes only and does not constitute accounting, legal, tax, or other professional advice. Listeners should not act upon the content or information found here without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional. We assume no responsibility for information contained on this podcast and associated entities and disclaim all liability with respect to such information, including but not limited to any liability for errors, inaccuracies, omissions, or misleading or defamatory statements. Usage of this podcast and associated contents constitutes an explicit understanding and acceptance of the terms of this disclaimer.